Hi, welcome to HoboRec Build Sessions. Today I'm really super excited for this video. We're gonna build a color palette from DIY recording equipment, and there will be a free giveaway. So for you who don't know what the color palette from DIY recording equipment is, to explain it really shortly, it's like analog plugins. It's for the 500 rack series. It's one of the cooler DIY projects out there. It's really DIY friendly, easy to build, and clear instructions for everything. And there are tons of color modules to choose from. So pretty much the 500 rack is a platform in itself, and the color palette is a sub-platform where you can place up to 3 color modules into one color palette and blend it in as you want. And the cool thing today is that DIYRECordingEquipment.com will be giving away the exact same kit I'm building today for free. You just have to enter the competition, do some things there, follow HoboRec and DIYRECordingEquipment.com on Facebook, subscribe to this channel, and also share this post in a couple of different ways. The more of the tasks you do, it will increase your chance of winning in the end. The competition will be on for 4 weeks. So today this video is out, and in 2 weeks there will be a new video with some sound examples, and then 2 weeks after that we're gonna reveal the winner of the contest. So check the description for a link there and more information about the contest. And I'm really excited to get this video going. So if you go to DIYRecordingEquipment.com, you can find the Color 500 series palette in their web shop, and it looks like this. And the color modules we're going to build today, one of them are the Studio Cassette 4-track color, which is supposedly going to emulate the distortion you would get out of a 4-track cassette Porta Studio. We're also going to make a color optical disruptor, which is kind of a mix of an optical compressor and an optical distortion. You can read more about it at DIYRecordingEquipment.com. We're also going to put a pulse tape delay color from Louder Than Liftoff in our color palette, which I'm really excited about. It's a tape delay simulation that's supposed to be really good, so looking forward to that. As you can see here, we have all the components laid out, and everything is labeled very clearly in number order. And we're gonna follow along with the build instructions on the DIYRecordingEquipment.com homepage. And just as it suggests, we have a soldering iron, a multimeter, solder, a clipper, and a Phillips screwdriver. What I don't have here is a desoldering pump, but hopefully won't do any mistakes. We don't have to remove any components. And here we have the motherboard and the daughterboard. And let's start sorting out the components. We start off with the resistors, and they are divided in 3 bags. You should have a close look at the component sorting sheet, and be very careful to sort the resistors correctly. Have a look at the color code, and also double check with your multimeter if you have one. There are some special tools for bending resistor legs, but I usually use just a small screwdriver and bend them over it. So place all the resistors, bend the legs a little bit on the back side so you can flip the PCB over without the resistors falling out. Solder everything and trim the legs. In bag number 2 we have the small capacitors and fuses. So with the component sheet, find out which one is which, locate where they're supposed to go, put them through, bend the legs. Keep in mind that some capacitors are polarized and some are not. And these are not, so you can put them in either way you want. Solder it. And trim. In bag number 3, take out the 4 IC sockets and put them into place and solder. No need to trim those. After that we're gonna place the 3 color sockets where the color palettes will fit in later. Bend the legs a little bit with a screwdriver to make them not fall out. Solder them into place. Last part in bag number 3 is the integrated diode bridge. It goes into the BR1 position, and make sure to align the design correctly. The corner with the plus goes through the square through hole on the PCB. In bag number 4 we find the larger capacitors, and those are polarized, so make sure the longer leg, the plus side, goes through the plus hole on the PCB. Bend the legs a little bit and flip the PCB over and solder everything into place. And then of course trim it down. Let's take out bag number 5 and locate the brackets that goes to H1 and H2. Put them through and solder into place. No need to trim those. After that, place the 4 potentiometers. They are all the same, so just put them in where they go and solder them into place. Next, find the sockets that will connect to the daughterboard and place them into con 1A and con 2A and solder it. Insert the 12-pin headers loosely into the sockets. Also loosely thread the standoff into the hole between the 2 sockets. Then it's time to populate the daughterboard. So take out bag number 6 and start with soldering the 1 resistors in place and trim that down. Then place the brackets, solder them, do not trim. And then we go with the push buttons. And here it's also enough with just soldering, no need to trim it down. And then we place the daughterboard above the motherboard and let the pins go through, and then we secure it with a screw so everything is really fit tightly, and then we solder the pin connectors in place so that they are exactly in the position they need to be. Then place the 3 LEDs, and the positioning of those goes that the longest leg goes through the hole with a dash, and the rest should be kind of self-explanatory. Then we just take off the daughterboard assembly and solder the LEDs and trim the legs. You could possibly attach the LEDs before you put the daughterboard on the motherboard in the first place, but I'm just following along with the build instructions to make it all clear. So we just assemble everything again and put the faceplate into place. There are 4 screws that goes into the 4 brackets we soldered before. Then it's time to put the ICs in place. Pay close attention while sorting and placing the ICs. There are 3 different types which need to go in the right place for the palette to work. Place the ICs in their respective sockets, and you may need to bend their legs a little bit inwards for them to fit nicely. And also make sure to align the notches on the bodies of the ICs with those on the sockets and PCB seal screen. And to finish up the palette, we have the last parts in bag number 8, and it's some lenses for the LED lights. And also some caps for the switches. And of course knobs for the potentiometers. And make sure to fasten them in the correct way so you have the middle of them going straight up. Pretty easy to identify where the middle is. You just turn either fully left or fully right, and then it's 10 dents for it to be absolutely centered. It's time to assemble the color modules. So we have the color opter, the optical disruptor color, and the Distorta Studio Cassette 4-track color. Then we also have the pulse tape delay color from Louder Than Liftoff. Unfortunately, due to the complexity of this circuit, pulse is not sold as a DIY kit. All the Louder Than Liftoff colors are sold fully assembled, calibrated and tested. So it's just to pop it into the color palette. So we start with a Distorta Studio color, and as usual we start with sorting up the resistors. Bend the legs and populate the PCB, solder and trim it down. Next, identify the ceramic capacitors. There are two different kinds, so be sure to check the component reference PDF and make sure the right one goes into the right place. Neither of those are polarized, so they go in any direction. Next, we put the IC socket in place, solder it, and then take out electrolytic capacitors. The first one of those, C6, is polarized, so the longer leg goes into the hole with the plus. The other two, the ones that are a bit smaller, are not polarized, so they go in either direction. Put the ICs in place. They are both the same, so either one in either socket. Put the 8-pin header in place and solder it, and then also place the plastic standoffs to finish it off. Then let's continue with the color opter. Take out the components, nicely sorted up in numbered bags, and as usual we start with the resistors. Sort them up, bend them, put them through the PCB, solder and trim the legs. And next we're going to sheet a little bit. We take the IC socket out of bag 3 before we continue with the stuff in bag number 2. Next, identify and place the fall smaller red film capacitors. Make sure you reference the components list so you place the correct one at the right place. There are 3 different types. Next up we will place the Vactrol, which is pretty much the key component here, also known as a resistive Opto isolator. If you want to know more about it, Google it. The direction of placement is really important, so please refer to the component sorting sheet. Now place the electrolytic capacitors. They are non-polarized, so they go either way. Solder and trim. Get the plastic standoffs in place. Insert the 8-pin header into the holes marked Con 1. And finally place the IC into the socket. Now place the assembled module into the color palette, and we are finished with the whole build. If you want to get your hands on this and build the exact same color palette with the same modules, be sure to enter the competition. More info and link to that in the description. This is what the color palette will look like in my 500 rack. You will have to wait 2 weeks until you get any sound examples, and another 2 weeks until we reveal who is the winner of the contest. As usual, thank you so much for watching, and again, don't forget to enter the contest. Subscribe to the channel, leave comments, please share this with as many as you can possibly think of. I'll see you again next week for a Q&A, and the week after that we'll be back with this color palette and do some sound examples. I'm really looking forward to that. I hope you too. So bye bye, cheers!